Good evening, AP Statistics parents. This is Mrs. Kramer, and I am your son or daughter's AP Stats teacher. I was really hoping to be there tonight to meet with y'all, but as you probably know, I am right at the beginning of my maternity leave. And so I thought a nice compromise would be for me to make you all a video to watch the way that I've been making videos for my students. So this kind of gives you a taste of what's been going on in my class and what will continue to go on throughout the duration of my maternity leave. I want to start by going through a few components of the AP Statistics course. The first component of their grade is homework, which counts for 10%. Your student may have mentioned that I don't collect homework until the very end of the chapter. And the reason for that is I want students to continue to work through and struggle with these problems throughout the entire chapter. Just because something is assigned one night doesn't mean I expect them to master it overnight and have it perfectly the next day. And so as a result, I expect them to continuously go back and revise their work and come ask me questions. Homework is really a work in progress. Unfortunately, some students tend to interpret this as permission to do their homework all at once the night before the test, which I obviously do not recommend. There's nothing that I can really do to stop that from happening the way that I have this set up, except to sort of have trust in my students that they're going to do what they need to do in order to be successful. Quizzes count for 20%, and we do about 2 quizzes per chapter, and a chapter takes about 2 weeks to go through, so you can expect about 1 quiz per week. Labs count for 10% of their grade. Sometimes these are actual labs where we gather and analyze data, and sometimes these are past AP problems. For each chapter, I try to do some free response questions from old AP exams so that students are exposed to the types of questions they can expect to see on the exam, which leaves 60% for tests. And like I said, I get through a chapter about every 2 weeks, so students can expect about 4 chapters per 9 weeks. Each day, I begin class with a warm-up, usually some sort of multiple choice practice, because I find that multiple choice is really difficult to sort of embed into the course, so I do that through a warm-up. Then we cover some kind of new material, either through a lecture or a lab or activity. If there's time, I ask for homework questions, and then usually I assign homework that sort of applies and extends what we learn in class. They're not going to see a lot of rote repetition in their homework. They're going to see extensions and new applications and problems that push them to think in different ways, because that's what they'll be expected to do on the advanced placement exam. The AP exam itself is the afternoon of May 9th. That is a Friday. It's a 3-hour exam. The graphing calculators are absolutely required on the exam. They will not let them test if they do not have a graphing calculator. The exam consists of 2 equally weighted sections, 40 multiple choice questions with 5 answer options each, and 6 free response questions. A cool advantage that my students have in this course is that I'm actually one of the graders for the AP exam. So I have a lot of insight as to how those free response questions are graded, and I try to sort of insert that knowledge into each chapter that we go through. Each section is 90 minutes, which is how we come to a 3-hour total. That means I recommend that they spend 12 minutes on each free response question, except question 6, which is twice as long. They call that the investigative task. I recommend that they spend 25 minutes on that. I do conduct a full-length practice exam that is absolutely mandatory. This year, that will take place on Saturday, April 12th. I told my students about this on the very first day of school, and it has been up on my board ever since. There are no exceptions to this. That's not entirely true. If something huge comes up, your student can come talk to me. But really, in most cases, this is solid. This is absolutely mandatory. Unfortunately, this year, that is the date of an ACT. So I do offer a morning and an afternoon option for this practice exam, so if your student absolutely has to take the ACT on that date, we can make it work. However, I recommend scheduling an alternate ACT date if that's what they need to do. I'm a huge fan of Progress Book, and I update it very regularly. Even now, while I'm out on maternity, I've been grading their papers and updating Progress Book. And then the second site that I have right here, the Google site, is really cool because this is where I'm hosting all of the videos that are being shown in class. The beauty of this is if your son or daughter is absent, they can go on the website themselves and watch the video. So it's like they didn't even miss class. And I want to show you briefly what that site looks like. Here's what the site looks like when you first go to it. And there are a few different features, including some of the flipped lessons that I've done with them in the past. I unfortunately don't have time to talk about that, but if you're interested, please feel free to ask your student about that. Here under maternity leave videos, you see the different chapters that will be covered or partially covered while I'm out. And right now we're right at the end of chapter 3. So if you click on chapter 3, these are the videos that are being shown in class. So here's the one from September 19th. And actually I was still in school that day, so I taught that lesson. But as you go through, here's every lesson for chapter 3. So even if a student misses a day of school, they can still watch the video and it's like they were in class. Okay, and this is what's going to happen throughout the duration of my maternity leave. All right, chapter 5 is already uploaded, and I'll be working on chapters 6 and 7 soon. A few other helpful links are this first one, stattrek.com. It has nice tutorials of different statistics topics. And then this second link is just the link for College Board, which has some general information about AP exams and some specific information about AP stats. If your student is struggling in this class, they can still come in for help before or after school, even though I'm not there. Miss Moda is in room 538, and she also teaches AP Statistics, and she has offered very graciously to help my students. Also, on Tuesdays and Thursdays after school, we have Mu Alpha Theta tutoring, which is actually in my classroom in 536. And they can get help either from another teacher or from a student who has already successfully taken AP Statistics. We can also have a talk about improving study habits, and I also strongly recommend frequently reviewing past material because everything is cumulative in this course, and if you're missing something, it's hard to move past that and get the next topic if the previous topic is still troublesome. Finally, if you ever need to contact me, first of all, you can call guidance to set up a parent-teacher conference. Probably right now, the best way to get in touch with me is to email me. And here's my email address right here, amanda.kramer@ocps.net. And then once I am back in the classroom, you can feel free to call my extension here. And I'll be happy to call you back and we can discuss your students' progress. So right now, email is going to be the best bet, however. So thank you so much for coming to Open House, and I'm sorry that I'm not there to meet you all in person, but please feel free to get in touch with me if you need anything. Thank you so much.